Okay, number 3. I think I talked about this a little bit before, but practice and memory are really important. And I know that memory and repetition are hard things for dyslexic kids. Memory, because with dyslexic kids, their short-term memory just does not function the way that other children's short-term memory does. And practice often elicits argument. And so it's probably one of those things that we just don't make those children do, because we don't want to make school horrible, and so we don't make them practice or do memory work. But I am going to go against the grain of dyslexia here and tell you that I believe those two things are so wildly important in situations with dyslexic kids. Mostly, like I talked about before, we talked about muscles that we don't use begin to atrophy. And you have to think about, in this situation, the muscles that we're using for dyslexic kids for memory and practice are already weak. Weak to almost non-existent, let's actually call it that. And so when we have them doing this memory work, it feels like torture. It feels like something that's not helping because it takes so long. But I have seen the benefits of keeping on it until it works. Now, the things we memorize and the things you guys memorize are going to be different. We don't do a lot of scripture memory, or haven't until this point, but because of my number 1, which is basics, we don't memorize anything that is not something that is in the basics of academics, if that makes any sense. So states and capitals we do continents, and we have done in the past parts of speech, and because I have a couple of dyslexics that can handle phonics and one that just cannot, we tried to do some of the blend sounds and the spelling rules, and that works for a couple of my kids, and there's one in particular that it doesn't, but we just keep doing it. And even if it doesn't work in the end, and that never sticks, and the multiplication never sticks, we kept on the basics and we kept on the memory work. It's very easy, and I'm speaking from experience, it's very easy to get pushback as an adult, to feel the pushback from a child because it's hard. And sometimes we say, well, they just don't memorize really well, so we'll find another way to teach that. Don't do it. Keep them going, but change your way of delivery, change your way of success, what you believe success to be in the form of memory and practice. Adjust your expectations and teach them resilience. In these situations, when, from personal experience, when you adjust curriculum so greatly because of their weak muscles, it creates other issues. It's very much a domino effect. So adjust your expectations. There are some curriculums we use now that have spelling in it. Like we use The Good and the Beautiful for my oldest son because it fits his personality, it fits his independence, and that works really well for him. But he is my child that is not phonemically aware, and so we just remove spelling from that, And we use a different curriculum for spelling. Also because that spelling is, I placed him, I'll show you the book. We placed him in level 6. He is going into 8th grade this year. We placed him in level 6, knowing that was so far above his reading level, but it created independence. It created self-esteem, and that created an opportunity for him to thrive and to mentally thrive. So as far as adjusting curriculum goes, I'm all about adjusting curriculum as long as they're being held to a standard that's just beyond their reach in a different curriculum. So memory work and practice are so very important. I would argue that they're more important than anything else. That's just my personal opinion. I think that the memory and practice create a bunch of different things. They create self-esteem in an environment where their self-esteem is taking battery every day. And so when you adjust your expectations and you adjust their expectations and you just keep working on it and you create resilience in your children, it's not a battery situation. So I guess what I would say is, in this situation, practice, repeating, and memory are everything. Make sure that you are holding them to a standard and teaching them to hold themselves to a standard that is creating learning. So for my guys, when we do memory work every day. Every day we do memory work, and there's no reward for it. It's just something we do. There's no massive, we did early on a checkoff, and those who can get the most memorized won. Well, that's the ultimate in failure. That was a mom fail on the dyslexic side because I knew that wasn't going to work and we did it anyway. But in that situation, we have found that creating memory work has, for them, which looks like different things. This is not just flashcards. I'm not just talking about flashcards. The language arts that we use for our grammar is Well-Ordered Language. I'll show you that book. And it has all of the 8 parts of speech and all the different information for grammar in the form of song. Well, that's memory, and that's perfect. And then I go back through and we talk about the different parts, and can somebody remember this, and can somebody remember this, and you create this environment where they are having to recall information, and that is so important. And it's important that we use those muscles even though they are super weak.